Shh. Shh. True. Nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous. I had been and am. But why would you say that I'm mad? Huh? Huh? This disease sharpened my senses. Not destroyed or dulled. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in heaven and on earth. I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Huh? Huh? Hearken and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It's impossible to say how the first idea entered into my brain, but once conceived, it haunted me, day and night. Object? There was none. Passion? There was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold, I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. One of his eyes, which resembled that of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so, very gradually, by degrees, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man. Thus, rid myself of the eye forever. Now, this is the point where you fancy me mad. Madman know nothing. But you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded. With what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation. I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I murdered him. And every night, about midnight, I turned the latch off his door and I opened it. Oh, so gently. And then, when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I thrust in a dark lantern, all closed, so that no light shone out. And then I thrust in my head. Oh, you would have laughed to have seen how cunningly I thrust it in. I moved slowly, very, very slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep. Shh. It took me a whole hour to place my head well within the opening so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Would a madman have been so wise as this? Huh? Huh? When my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern cautiously, so cautiously for the hinges creaked. I undid it so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye. And I did this for 7 long nights. Every night about midnight. But I found the eye, always closed, and so it was impossible to do the work. For it was not the old man who had vexed me, but it was his evil eye. Every morning, when the day broke, I went boldly into his chamber and I spoke to him courageously, calling him by the name in a heartly tone and inquiring how he had passed the night. So you see, he must have been a very profound sort of old man to have suspected that every night, about midnight, I looked in upon him while he slept. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious when opening the door. A watch's minute hand moved quicker than did mine. Never had I felt the extent of my own powers, of my sagacity. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph to think that there I was, opening the door, little by little, and without even thinking of my secret deeds. Or thoughts. I fairly chuckled at the idea. And I think he must have heard me, for he moved in his bed suddenly, as if startled. Now you may think that I drew back, but no. I kept quite still and said nothing. For a whole hour I did not move a muscle, and in the meantime I did not hear him lie back down. I could still tell he was still sitting up in the bed, listening, just as I have done, night after night, hearkening to the death watches in the walls. That was not the groan of pain, nor of grief. Oh no, that was the low, stifled sound that arises from the bottom of my soul when overcharged with awe. I knew that sound well. Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it welled up from my own bosom, deepening with its dreadful echoes, the terrors that distracted me. I say, I knew it well. Although I chuckled at heart. I knew that he had been lying awake ever since he heard that first slight noise when he lay upon his bed. His fears had been ever since been playing tricks on him, and he'd been trying to fancy them causeless, but could not. And he'd been saying to himself,
"'Tis merely the wind in the chimney, or it is just a mouse rushing across the floor, or it is merely even a cricket which has made a single chirp.
When I waited a long time, I resolved to open a little crevice in the lantern. So I opened it stealthily, until a single dim ray shot out the lantern and fell upon the vulture eye. It was wide open. I got furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness, a hideous, dull, pale blue with a veil over it that chilled every marrow in my bones. It's as if by instinct I had directed the ray precisely upon the damned spot. And now, I have not told you that what you mistake for madness, but is actually over-acuteness of the senses. I can say that there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well. It was the beating of the old man's heart. I refrained and stood still, but the beating grew louder, louder. I thought the heart must burst, and now I knew anxiety had seized me, for the sound could be heard by a neighbour. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and I leapt into the room. I dragged him to the floor and I pulled the heavy bed over him. But for many minutes, the heart beat on in a muffled sound. This, however, did not vex me. The sound could not be heard through the walls. Could it? Huh? Huh? At length, it ceased. The old man was dead. I removed the bed and examined the corpse. He was stone dead. Stone dead. There was no pulsation, for he was stone dead. His eye would trouble me no more. I cut off the head the arms and the legs. I then replaced 3 plankings of the flooring and put them all between the scantlings. I then replaced the boards so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. 'Twas 4 o'clock, still dark as midnight. As the bell sounded the hour, there came a knocking at the street door. I went down to answer it with a light heart, for what I had now to fear. There entered 3 men who introduced themselves with perfect suavity as officers of the police. A shriek had been heard by a neighbour during the night. I bade the gentleman welcome, welcome, welcome. The shriek, I said, was my own in a dream, and that the old man was absent in the country. took my visitors all over the house and I bade them, search well. Search well. I led them at length to his chamber, and in the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and desired them to rest from their fatigues, while I, in the great audacity of my perfect triumph, placed myself upon the very spot which reposed the corpse of the victim. The officers were satisfied. My manner had convinced them. They sat, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted of familiar things. I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached and I fancied a ringing in my ears, but they still sat and still chatted. The ringing became more distinct. It continued and became more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but the noise arose all over and gained definitiveness until at length I discovered that the noise was not within my ears. No doubt I grew very pale, yet the sound increased, and what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I gasped for breath, and yet the officers heard it not. I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noise arose all over and continually increased. I foamed, I raved, I swore. I stood firmly upon the spot on which I was standing upon, and I grated upon the boards. But the noise arose all over and continually increased. They heard, they suspected, they knew, they were making a mockery of my horror. These, I thought, and these, I think. But anything was better than this agony. Anything was more tolerable than this derision. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die. And now, again, hark, louder, 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 louder! Villains, I shrieked, dissemble no more. I admit the deed, tear up the plagues. Here, here, it is the beating of the hideous. Ah!